believe it. It says you're live, so I'll believe it. Welcome to Worldwide Slot Car Chat on Zoom number 222. I'm your host, Greg Gabb. The gang's all here with Una and Jim and Dawn and Courtney and Dewan and Garth and John and Dennis and Wayne and John and David and John and Lenny and John, Jeremy, Mike, John, and Jerry. All the people are here. Let's have fun talking slot cars. Anybody got anything they want to show and tell? Wave your hand, put up your virtual hand. All right, so I saw Dennis waving earlier, so Dennis, I'll let you go, and then we'll do Mike.
Okay, just the latest addition to the collection at home of slotted cars. This is the Acura ARX05, just come in. First one in the livery. It's the Myers Shank livery, the winner at Daytona in 2022. I had to have one because it's pink and blue, right?
All right, muting whoever that is.
That sounds like John Webber. And they have done an absolutely magnificent job of this thing. It's difficult to see this. The clear is so deep, but the tamper printing and the paint is absolutely excellent. Done a really, really nice job. Underneath, it's pretty much the same as all the newer LMPs, in that it has that the new front end that allows for the use of a regular guide.
Mm-hmm.
And they have a twin screw mount up the front, body mount, and a single at the back to give themselves more space in the front for chips and things like that.
Yep. Dennis, I saw you put like an alphanumeric thing on the bottom. What is that for?
The SLT090.
Yeah.
That's just a number that I identify all my cars. I have a spreadsheet that lists everything, and so I just put a number on it.
So SLT would be slotted, probably.
Yeah, SLT would be slotted, and 090 would be the 90th one that I've had. I don't have them all anymore. I've sold off some of them, but don't reuse the numbers. And I mark the box, and then I pack the box away. And so every now and then I hand my wife a copy of that spreadsheet so that she knows what I've got. If anything ever happens to me, she knows what they are, and the numbers will help her find the boxes if she needs to sell them off. And she knows, they'll then know how much I paid for them and where I got them and any other.
You know, giving your spouse a list like that is a double-edged sword.
Not in my case, so I don't have a problem with it.
Hey, can I get a copy of that just in case?
A copy of my spreadsheet, or a blank version of the spreadsheet?
Oh, a copy of your spreadsheet. That way I know what you have, and so I can get first dibs.
Yeah, you're way too late to get first dibs.
I'm way down that list.
Not way down, but you're not. I'm afraid there have been a couple of guys who have already whispered in my wife's ear about that, particularly for the scratch build stuff.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm not way down. I'll take middle of the road. I'm happy with that.
Anyway, yeah, so that's what that number is, John.
When right. Though, Dennis, don't accept any food or drink-based gifts from Courtney.
Yeah. I'll be careful of them. I'll feed them to somebody first. Yeah. Although right. No doubt, it's not me that mustn't accept the food-based gifts. It's all the guys above him in the list that mustn't accept them.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for sharing that, Dennis. And Mike waved his hand earlier, so he's next.
Dennis stole all my thunder. I just got it today.
Nice one.
And he's right. Mine already has the race tires on it, though, and a slotted chip, just so you know, a C chip So an oxygen chip. So I'm gluing the magnets as we speak for my Scalextrics track to see if I can do some oxygen stuff.
Mhm.
So we'll see. I'll try your idea of putting it on the SSD and powering it with the power base and see what happens. Hopefully, I won't blow anything up.
It's been working fine for me, so.
Good.
But so has other stuff. So.
Yeah. The next scary moment is, of course, getting the app and getting into the lane changer for the other track, and
Still haven't done that yet.
Yeah, I haven't done that yet, and I have to convert the SCP-3s to oxygen. So here we go, down the rabbit hole.
You can do it.
Yeah, I hope so.
All right, so double thunder on that new slotted purchase. All done, Mike?
Yep, that's it.
Moving along, Yona, you're next.
Yeah, not completely slot correlated, but I got myself a bit of a new toy here.
Oh, bamboo, yeah.
Yeah. I
What
just
is it
thought
exactly?
some of you would be interested in that.
So it's a bamboo, right? 3D printer.
Yeah, Bamboo
Yeah.
Labs is the new hotness these days.
FDM style.
FDM, yeah, filament printer. They're
Mhm.
fast. They're reasonably good quality. Not too expensive.
Yeah.
Good
Most importantly for me, you can, for a cheap price, change filaments mid-print. So I can have,
the AMS, yeah.
yeah, I can make motor pods, most importantly, with dissolvable filament, because they're quite complex geometries.
Good luck.
Yeah, I've not been successful thus far.
Having
Printing
used the
PLA,
Prusa,
I have.
having
Yeah.
used the Prusa with the MMU for several years now, the main issue is when you have different material types that it takes more purging to purify the material than just the color change. So like if you're
Yeah.
going from PLA to PETG or from PLA to BVOH or whatever, you got to purge like 2-3 times the amount that you would normally purge for a color change, because
Okay.
the impurities ruin the nature of the other filaments. So the dissolvable doesn't stick right, doesn't dissolve properly. Yeah, it's a rabbit hole. That's why I say
I'll
good luck.
figure it out.
It's doable, but lots just tons of waste, which is why a lot of people will do use the dissolvable for only the interface layers. Use
Yeah.
your regular filament for the actual support, and then the dissolvable for the interface. Unless
But the problem
whole
is,
board is inside something that you can't. It has to
Yeah.
dissolve in order to get away, because the dissolvable is so much more expensive than just PLA or PETG or whatever.
well, here's the thing. I plan on printing carbon fiber nylon parts. So I'll use ASA as a support material, and I can just put that in acetone.
There you go.
So it's not an expensive support material.
No, ABS, ASA, definitely much cheaper than than PVA or BVOH.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Looking forward to cool prints from you then.
Thank you.
All right, moving on. Mr. Bob Bellamini has something he wants to share, but his camera's off. Or are you just gonna
I actually just have a question for Dennis Sampson.
fire away, sir?
During the Nationals, Dennis, there was an issue with a braid that lifted, and Marco's had a tool that looked like a sealing iron or something to reseat the braid. Greg thought you might be familiar with that.
Oh, Dennis, don't review it. It's a secret.
Come on.
There was more than one tool used for that kind of work. Um, I have a little braid. I mean, everybody has a braid roller, right? Slot car corners sell a braid roller, which with a little bit of work actually works quite well. As it is sold, it's a difficult tool to use, and it can damage the track. But if you have one of those slot car corner ones, the very first thing to do is to take all the sharp edges off the central ridge of the roller, so that it doesn't damage the track as you roll the braid. Then there's another little machine that I use, which is basically just a little block of corian with a pin in it that I use to rub the track down. That works really well. But I think what you're talking about was here and there when a track where the braid is stuck down with contact adhesive and it starts to come loose, then the way to get it to stick quickly is to heat it, and that reactivates the glue. And basically all we did was I machined up a little aluminum fitting that fits into a regular 30-watt soldering iron. You push it in, you tighten a little screw down that holds it on. Basically, it's 3/4 of an inch diameter. It's cut off at an angle, and it has a 1/8 flange or a 1/8 ridge in the middle that fits down in the slot, and you basically just push it along and heat the braid up just enough that it starts melting the glue, and then you let that set. So that's what it is.
So it's an adapter for a soldering iron.
Yeah. Just
Thanks.
you just
Soldering
yeah,
tip.
no normal Weller soldering iron. There's that little screw on the side of the heater element that you can undo and just pull the tip out.
Mhm.
So then I just machined an aluminum one that has that same shank diameter, but then the head of it is 3/4 of an inch diameter and is machined with a central spine on it so that it fits in the slot.
We've been relying on Dennis's brilliance and talent so long. We're very fortunate to have Dennis around to do those small but very important things around the track.
I was gonna say that's. I'm sure Bob wants to know if that's something that can be made in additional quantities.
Well,
No, actually, I do have a tool that would be very similar to that. For the model airplanes, they have a trim iron that has a very small shoe that could be used. And of course, you could adapt something like what Dennis made to that. So that's what I was curious about.
A trim iron would probably work. I'll just see if I can find my other little dressing tool. Hold on.
I mean, the rollers seem to be a product that gets sold, so why not the iron tip?
Yeah, the roller damages the track if not used properly. We left the roller out for a couple of months, and I see people not using very well, and it damages the slot. The edge of the slot gets damaged.
Yeah,
You cannot
here we
recover that, so you took it off. Todd Euler took the roller and kind of round the sides of it, so it gets a little bit more mild when used, but we don't let the customers or racers to use that anymore. Only me and Danny are allowed to touch the track since we saw the damage.
Yeah, so for that reason, Dennis's Korean version or the Dennis's iron tip would be products to sell.
All right, so this is the slot car corner version, right? And this is my personal one. What I've done with it, I took the roller out, and I actually reduced the diameter of that center flange. I made it smaller so it doesn't stick in the slot so far, and I rounded it quite significantly. The problem is when you're rolling and you're in a very tight corner, and if that thing is very deep, then it starts to grab the edges of the slot. And if you look closely at a track that's been rolled too much, you'll find that right at the top of the slot, just below the braid, it starts to chamfer. And unfortunately, especially with 1/32 scale cars, you want that sharp edge there. You want to have the slot as perfect as possible, as high, as close to the surface as possible. This is the little thing that I made. Very simple. It's just a little block of Korean that's 3/4 of an inch wide. It has a little pin in it that's made from a 3mm stainless steel set screw with the head cut off, and it has a nice rounded profile up the front, and you just stick that in the slot and you run it. It's 3/4 wide, which means that it catches both, same as the roller, catches both braids at once, and you can get a lot of pressure on that, and you can rub it down. So any kind of little pull-ups that the braid is having, you can push them down, and because it's just a pin, there's no problem as you twist it, or as long as you don't start going at less than 90 degrees to the braid. It works really, really well. And those, I'm trying to work out a system to get those commercially available.
Thanks for that information, Dennis. I appreciate
You're
it.
welcome, Bob.
But what about the iron tip?
The problem with the iron tip is you need to know what kind of iron the guy's going to use it on, right? And what size that piece is going to be. So
Yeah,
I could say, okay, it's a 1/4 inch because it's standard for a Weller or something like that. Then you could do it. Yeah.
I mean, that's fairly, it's relatively standard, for the kind of irons most of us, for our wiring and stuff. Maybe we're not. Maybe it's not standard for doing brass chassis and stuff. But
no, I hear you. I think that 1/4 inch, those things. So yes, I could do it.
Out of curiosity,
I don't know if I want to.
No, I was gonna say
because it's a lot of work.
Out,
right?
do drawings and stuff, and see what a machine shop will do about, or send it to,
Yeah, then I got to try and
UA
sell
or
500
whatever.
of them.
is the glue the stickiness of the glue coming undone the only thing that's occurring, or is there other things that?
There's a couple of things. There's a couple of things happen with braided tracks, right? Number one, when the cars that come out of the slot, sometimes the guide will grab the edges of the braid as it comes out. Particularly the days when we used to use pin guides on the TSRF cars, it used to really attack the braid as it was coming out. Those little steel pins that the TSRF cars had a very sharp edge around the bottom. If you didn't round that off, it was hard on the braid. The second thing that happens with braid, especially if the recess of the braid is not very deep, and if you're using if you're running 1/32 scale cars on a braided track where the tires are not as wide as the 3/4 of an inch that the recess braid is, then as the car drifts across that, the tires are dropping into that 10,000ths or 5,000ths depression, and they start to pull up the inside edge of the braid on the on the outside braid of the turn. And so it rolls the edges of the braid up after a while. And then with heat cycles and with cleaning and things like that, the glue sometimes does start to let go as well, yes. Those are the things that happen.
Unavoidable maintenance requirement, basically.
Yeah.
If a track gets used, that's gonna.
Yeah, and the more it gets used, the more often that happens.
Yeah.
Plus, if you're running magnet cars on a track with magnetic braid, every time you put the car down or pick it up, there's magnetic attraction to the braid that is stressing the glue joint below it.
Ian says hi. He's on he hopped on the YouTubes real quick. to see
Douglas.
what's going on. Ian Douglas.
Hello, Ian.
All
Well
right.
done, Ian.
And so thank you for answering that question for Bob.
You're welcome.
And I guess we're ready to move on to Dewan. What you got?
Mine's more of a show and ask.
As always, go for it.
Yeah. I have a track box. If I can actually, I guess it's probably easier for me to bring my camera over to the box than it is to bring the box over to the camera.
Whatever works.
I have a
yeah.
little
Was that Frank's creation?
Yes, Frank's creation. Frank Sisto made these boxes, and I bought one for him. But anyway, this allows you to put your car on the to get the motors warmed up. You can have two cars running. It's got some stomps on it. Everything. Well, my issue is that the DC battery that came with that he had included with it. It's a standard Harbor Freight device and everything, and it has positive and negative leads on it that you put into the different slots, the negative and the positive. And I believe it was my adapter that went out on it. Bottom line is the battery's dead, and I couldn't find an adapter impromptu to put in there. And I just start brainstorming, saying that couldn't I take a lithium ion?
Backup battery.
And then take the leads off of the USB, the standard USB, and strip it out, get the plus and minus off of that to power this thing up. I didn't do it, but I was just wondering, has anybody turned a USB cord into just a standard plus minus DC?
Actually, Dewan, do you have any cordless tools at home that may actually use? Yeah, because that looks like a standard like cordless power thing for like drills and other things.
Yeah, you could probably get a charger and a replacement battery off of Harbor Freight, but if you're wanting to replace what's in there with something that you already have, the first question is, what is the voltage of the battery?
It's a typical 5 volt.
No, not that one. Not that one. I know what that one is. The one that you're replacing.
The Freight one was 18 volts. So
it's 18 volts, but we always turn it down. I always turn it down because I have a regular.
Yeah. But the thing with the dial on it is basically a DC voltage converter. Whatever input voltage it's getting, you're turning it down to whatever you want it to be.
Well, 5 or 6 volts is typical. 4, 5, and 6 is what I'm using.
Is that usually where you're using it?
Yeah, that's what I'm at.
So you won't be able to use more than the 5.5 volts. I don't think it can increase voltage very much. I mean, maybe it can.
No.
Some of them can. It just would deplete the battery faster. But yeah, that should work because basically the USB, if you get, you got to know which two wires to use from the USB. I don't know which wires they are, but two of the wires in that bundle is plus and minus.
He wants a USB socket attached to his voltage reducing tool.
Battery that Dewan has right now has 5 cell packs in it, and similar to the ones that I sell, I have 2 cell packs in mine, but it can charge off the USB. It just takes a while, it takes an hour or two. Whereas when you're putting on the rapid charger, it's going to be much faster and heat. But everything you want to do, Dewan, can be done. It's just, you just shoot me a message and I'll tell you what parts to buy.
Okay, I was going to say, is there some little guide that tells you how to strip out the inside of a USB to get the plus minus? Universal.
I wouldn't even do that. Like mine plugs directly into a USB-C cord right there on that end, and it charges the 2 packs. You're trying to charge all 5 batteries at once?
No, he's not trying to charge the battery. He wants to use the backup battery in his hand right now.
Yeah.
USB output to the input of his slot car
slot box.
Right.
My slot box that has the
Yeah, so you want to take you want to basically plug a USB cord into that white backup battery, and the other end into the slot box DC, input variable voltage thingamajigger. He's replacing the old battery with that.
Consider this a 9-volt, a regular old 9-volt transistor battery. You want to plug it onto your braze. Just if I could do that, I can solve my same problem.
I mean, you could do that. you can easily get 9-volt battery connectors that just have the red and the black coming out of them, and then
but they don't last as long as this would. That's what.
Exactly. Yeah.
You might get a call from Tim Cook about using that though.
The way I would tackle that would be
he's the head of
Hey, too many people. Jeremy, please answer the question.
I was gonna say, you can do everything you want to do there, but you're kind of doing it the hard way. So I would convert all of the cell packs I would put them in your case, the 5 of them with a USB cord there, and then you would just go USB-C to USB-C when you're ready to plug it in. Or do you just want that as a backup that you can take with you?
I use it as a backup, generic backup for all kind of things, my cell phone, etc.
Okay. After the show, I'll show you a few things. I don't want to.
Okay. All right. Okay.
But if you take a USB cable and you cut the other end, one that has the plug that will go into that little white brick that you've got, and you cut the other end off it, there will be a red wire and there will be a black wire and a couple of other wires that you can disregard. And the red wire is plus 5 volts, and the black wire is the negative.
Wow.
And that's it.
Assuming the cable has stuck with those standards.
Yeah.
Oh.
The funny thing is that Jeremy is calling this a show now.
Oh,
what?
The funny thing is that Jeremy is calling this a show now. So
we're a show. Of course, we're a show.
Okay.
I mean, technically. Anyway, Jeremy will help you. We'll make sure that gets figured out.
Okay, that was my question.
All right. Any other show and tell? Any new purchases, projects, whatever? All righty.
I did have one. Well, I guess it'll be first. It was something I saw at the museum that I thought was very.
The segments. The segments that I do for show and tell and Club Corner, that's just to encourage chat. So if you got something you want to ask, go for it.
Not ask that show. I got pretty excited about something I found at the museum.
You went to the museum last year. Was there something new?
I missed this. So that's all. I had missed this. So I'm gonna bring it up now. Here it goes.
Cool.
Yeah, that's the Lincoln Futura by Revell.
Yeah, I didn't know they had a model of that.
Oh, you can't. Oh, they repopped it. You want me to go get mine? I'll show it to you.
I knew you have one.
Yeah, no, they actually re-released it, Dewan. Do you need one? You want one?
I'm probably gonna go out and find one. That's what I'm planning on doing. But yeah, that's so cool.
That's what they made the Batmobile out of.
That's
Exactly.
correct. Yeah,
That's
yeah.
right.
Barris bought it for $1 and turned it into the Batmobile. And if you look at the Futura, he really didn't do a heck of a lot to it, really.
No, didn't need to.
Yeah.
That was so cool.
The coolest part about that model, I mean, I know it's a multi-part body, but the figures are just awesome.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
And you know that car was also in a movie, right?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Okay. And then for the movie, it was painted red, but when it was originally built, it was in silver, like a silvery blue.
Okay, just for someone who's too young, can you tell me if that was a production vehicle?
No, it was a prototype. In 1955, Ford spent about $125,000 in 1955 dollars to make it.
Wow.
Couple million.
Any other questions?
I'm sure John has the answers.
They could probably paid for 3 or 4 F-86s for that kind of money.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Bought it for $1.
Real jets.
He bought it for $1, yeah, because he was storing it for Ford, and they forgot to pay him. So he said, "Okay, I'll tell you what, I'll pay you $1. It's mine." And they went, "Oh yeah, thank God, it's gone." Because don't forget, a lot of show cars were destined for the crusher once they were done because of tax reasons. There were a lot of show cars that were saved. The Chevrolet Biscayne was another one that was taken out of a junkyard. There was apparently 1 or 2 specific junkyards in the Detroit area that were specifically used to crush concept cars, and a couple of the owners couldn't bring themselves to do it. Thank goodness, and that's why a lot of them still exist.
Yeah, I know you did that with all the turbines, turbine vehicles. So it's like the
Oh no, it was powered by a Lincoln engine. Oh yeah, the turbines. Yes, well that was for tax purposes because they were built by GIA, and they either had to pay a whole bunch of Chrysler had to pay a whole bunch of import tax or crush them. So the first thing they did was they offered them free to schools, museums, anybody who would take them. Kept one for themselves, and the rest they had to actually film. That's why it's on YouTube. They actually had to film the destruction of those vehicles so they could not pay tax on them. Any other questions?
John loves car trivia.
Who's going to drink my cup of tears?
All right, interesting stuff, and of course, triggering John's car trivia response is always amusing.
That's why they call it trivia, because it's trivial.
It's trivial, and that's why you're here.
Oh. No, I walked into that one. I deserve it. No, there was the piece of cheese, and stupidly I didn't see the trap. No, that's all. I deserve it.
We would definitely.
Well, this whole thing is a Trivial Pursuit,
which is a Canadian game.
Oh,
of course it is. Okay, moving on. Anybody else got any show and tell? Raise your virtual hand. Raise your real hand. Seeing none, we're moving on. Let's go ahead and fire up Club Corner. If you got any past, present, or future racing you want to talk about, there may or may not have been something that happened recently people might want to talk about. I don't know. Lenny's ready to talk about his stuff, but I don't think he was in California this past weekend.
No, I was watching.
Jim was. Marco certainly was.
All the subtlety of a brick through a plate glass window.
I'm hurling them as fast as I can. Well, let's let Lenny go first. He had his hand up, and then we'll do some electric.
Just speaking of what happened on the weekend over there, I thought it was a pretty good show. Congratulations to Marco and all his team for banging on the show. Your 2 commentators were excellent, although I think you might need an extra one because I was getting a bit tired by the end of the day. I think I'm starting to struggle a little bit, but other than that, it was really good. I really enjoyed it. Congratulations to Ian and was it Braden and Jim? I was cheering for you, Jim, bringing a Jag home in 3rd place. Well done. Anyway, on to my stuff. I haven't shared the screen yet. What a drongo. Let's try it. So here we are. There's a promotional picture. We ran round 7 there of our point score series, what we jokingly call the Sheep Station series. So we ran DTM, Modern GT, and Classic Touring Cars, but essentially it's Trans Am. Nearly everybody runs a Camaro or a Mustang or something like that. And first up race was for DTM cars, and young Andrew won that one as usual. From Jason and Ian in 3rd. I sort of just missed out on a podium in 4th. Jeff, Norm, Bert, Callum, Andrew, and Max. Max was one of our sort of tri-monthly attendees. He comes every now and again and always seems to enjoy himself. There's the podium. So there's Andrew's, what we call the Berlin taxi or the Berlin bomber. Mercedes and a couple of Calibras following up. Just about everybody else had a Calibra. Jeff had an Alpha that goes quite well, but he didn't place in the top 3 like he normally would. Next up, we ran Classic Touring Cars, and although it says Max at the top there, his car wasn't compliant with the current rules, so he wasn't eligible for any points. So, although I did give him 10 points for turning up. Jason won that. From Ian and then Jeff. And there's the lineup. There's Jason's Thunder Slot Mustang. It's been detuned with a Scalextric motor in it. Oh, sorry, a Pioneer motor. And then there's Ian's Pioneer Mustang and Jeff's Pioneer Camaro, 68 Camaro. They've all had a fair bit of work done. And I think there's a fair bit of lightning being going. There's a fair bit of Dremel work happening inside a couple of those. But that's all legal where we race. And then we hit around the modern GTs, and those things are really fast around here. Ian set us a fastest lap with a 6.2, which is not far off the lap record for this class. And Andrew finished second, and Norm sneaked in for a third place with his McLaren. It was all pretty close racing. If you look at the top, well, second, third, and fourth, there's not much in it. So yeah, good race. These things are a bit of a handful with the NSR motors in them, a lot of them. So that's always challenging to race them. There's the podium. So Ian's Mercedes from Andrew's Mercedes from Norm's McLaren. He's got that going quite well now. So that was really good. There's the points table. Andrew's still on top. Jason's in second. Ian's caught up to him a bit. He's only 2 points behind now. And Jeff, myself, Norm, Steve, Andrew, Callum, Max, and Bert. Bert was one of our regulars. He had a few months away. He just decided he needed a break. He's come back now, and he's usually the first one to reply to the email that gets sent out asking who wants to come along with an invitation. And then next week we go into the Spitfire 500 week. So that's our annual sort of semi-enduro. It's only an hour's race, but for 2 drivers. Then we change the class every year. This year we've got river slots, LMP, GT1s and GT2 cars. So that should be an interesting race. The race is only about an hour, but the idea is to try and break 500 laps. That's why we call it the Spitfire 500. Well, last year was nearly the Spitfire 600. The winners got that with about 560 laps, but that was with LMPs. So yeah, so Tuesday night's the first practice session. They get 2 hours on Tuesday night, and then there's an optional Thursday night if someone wants to come along, and then Saturday they get another hour or 2. Then we get into the race and see who comes out on the other side as the winner. So it's always a good afternoon's racing, only held during the day. And we usually bung on a bit of an afternoon tea and a presentation at the end. All the guys seem to enjoy that. So that's we're looking forward to that one. At this stage, we've only got 5 entries, so 5 teams, but hopefully we might get a latecomer or 2 come in the next couple of days. We'll see. And finally, I don't know whether you remember, Max, our sort of semi-regular guy, he flies model aircraft as well. I think this one was a tether plane from memory, so or I'm not sure. Anyway, he donated that to the group, so we hung that from the roof at the moment. It's only a temporary hanging, as you can see. There's a bit of string. Basically, we'll get some fishing line up there, and that'll look a lot better. And that's it for me. So I'll get out your way now, and look forward to watching the rest of the show.
It's always nice to have a little bit of aircraft over a track. Helicopters, blimps.
Yeah, it's interesting that there's a Spitfire slot car club in the UK as well, and they've got one hanging up in their roof now as well.
There you go.
This has got a propeller though.
Spitfire above a Spitfire.
Yep.
All right. Thank you for sharing, sir.
No worries.
Now
Stop sharing.
Let's see what happened. Yeah, your share's done already. You're good.
All right.
Who wants to go first, Dewan or Jim?
Go ahead.
Oh, Jim says Dewan.
Oh, I was gonna let Jim go first. I don't want to duplicate anything he has.
Putting you on the spot.
Well, I'm gonna break Wayne's record, so I'll let.
Okay, well, I'll start. Well, mine's gonna be real quick then, but I didn't want to steal anything you're gonna present. But nonetheless, I'll do what I got. So. Anyway, I won't go into much detail. But this was the layout of the this is this is post voting, but this is the concourse, the best design, not design, but paint liveries and things of that nature for the slotted nationals. The first time that they've had that I'm aware of. But anyway, so we had 12 cars to choose from, and see them kind of very hard to see tell. But
the 12 cars was because Michael Nemes pre-selected those 12 from the field. There were a lot more self-painted vehicle cars there.
You notice mine's not in there.
Yeah, nor mine.
Yeah. So,
so Michael selected 12, and then they were placed out for voting by all the drivers.
Yeah. So each of the drivers got 3 votes for their pick. The top 3 picks of the for the concourse, and the car that got the most votes with all 70 some odd drivers. Well, I guess it's less than that, just according to the no shows. Determined the concourse winner, and that was it. This is a this is an outstanding vehicle. Where's my zoom button? Dang it! It's covering up my zoom button. I can't really.
If you have a wheel on your mouse, you can use it.
I do have it, and it's not doing. It's not doing. Okay, it does have weird stuff when you get to starts acting. But definitely for the shit.
Duan, if you don't mind interrupting you, this car was made by Jay Comadina. Jason's Skyler works at Ruffian Cars. If you go online and search for Ruffian Cars, they have super custom-made supercars. And this guy, I can't remember his name, the owner, I think it's Chris. One of his first cars was a Galaxy 500, full concept car. You need to see it's Ruffian with 2 Fs, and this paint job is based on that Galaxy.
I have Facebook pictures doesn't zoom.
Yeah,
I've got a tighter.
Nice job.
I've got a tighter picture, Dwan.
Okay, I'll let you show it. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Finish it.
Okay. Well, my next thing is this. It's a little bit of just a real quick. It's about me, so it only takes 15 seconds.
Do your thing.
Anyway, so
wasn't last.
We went into the race on Sunday, and I was in the 3rd heat instead of the normal 1st heat that I usually get in. So I'm advanced a little bit. But this was the result of the first, my first of the. I started off in the yellow lane, and I am still a total neophyte when it comes to controllers. I'm clueless. I won't say clueless, but I definitely had someone. I think Marco actually was the last person to kind of set the settings of my controller. He borrowed it to run a couple laps, and he made some changes, and that's what I ended up doing. I just never adjust my controller. I haven't had the opportunity to digest it and understand the bottom line. But I liked what I was getting. And I did have, came out the gate, someone took me out, took a little while for the marshals to get in. Obviously, I had to have my little excuses, but I finished 3rd for that heat. And I had the fastest lap, and I felt real comfortable. I had a lot more room. I was just being conservative, literally, because I know there's so much more that I could have gotten out of the car, and again, I was just being conservative, trying to stay in nonetheless. But that first heat finished 3rd, and in the 2nd heat, I went from yellow to black. Right there, I didn't do as well. I got more laps, but I didn't. Yeah, but anyway, that's the black, and then from there I go to blue. Yeah, so I went to blue. And again, got the best lap, fastest lap time. I didn't understand these anomalies. I guess I must have been a rider or something. Obviously, something.
Yeah, that's not
went on 3 second lap. But yeah, just coming out, and so those were my first 3 lanes, and I felt real comfortable with those. But somehow, when I went from blue to white, which is the next one, my controller. Or I think it was a controller. It might have been something with the car, but coming down just the straightaway.
Oh, yeah.
It was sputtering. it was literally just it was not going full speed. It was just bizarre. And then also when I was taking my turns, the controller was going more of an on-off type of, again, I say controller, but it may have been the car, but it was just on off versus the normal smooth transitions that I was doing in the first 3 laps. So I had a lot of difficulty in trying to keep the thing from, just bouncing off and on. So that's what I did for my last 3 laps, my last 3 heats. Right. And again, I didn't know, I didn't want to I should have checked the car in between heats to look and see if it might have been something with the braids, because I know that early on when I was practicing that the ferrule, it went into the lead wire for the ferrule, actually came out probably about 30 to almost 50% was out. And so when I was taking turns, it was sputtering around the turns. But when I was on the straights, it was going, pretty decent. So as the guy was moving, he was, kind of going through his sputter thing. So I didn't find that out until after practice and opened up the body to figure out why I was just getting that erratic type of behavior. But anyway, so that's that one. So in the white lane, I didn't do too well. And then from there, I went to red. Again, I was having an off on situation and just challenged. And then the last lap, green was a much faster lane itself. I still had the on-off challenge with the controller, but I was able to get to another, decent lap. I don't know why, because Raul had dropped out. Why he even shows up as having a 6 there, other 3.9. Those aren't valid laps. But Raul didn't erase the last.
I can tell you what happened there.
Okay.
I jump in, I pick up his car, fix his car, and I jump in for 2 heats.
So that's what happened.
Yeah. So I could keep the lane clean for the next drivers.
Gotcha. Okay, I was trying to figure out how did he had dropped out. Yeah. So okay, so that's what happened. Okay. So anyway, so out of three of the 6 heats, I was the fastest lap, but I wasn't staying in as well as I could have stayed in. Finished 3rd. So that was my stench at the Nationals. So that's it. No,
It does sound like a controller issue. Like maybe when you move the controller, or maybe it hit your thigh or something like that, and flipped a switch or turned a knob or something like that. Because if the car is responding, like you said, with the wire loose, it would do intermittent things around turns. But if it felt like just touching the trigger made it go off at full speed, so you basically had an on-off switch, that sounds like a controller setting got changed accidentally at some point. Because I'm assuming the controller has, it's whatever controllers, it's got protections to prevent like getting burnt out. Because if some controllers, if you break some electronics, then they do weird things. But usually they just don't work at all if something happens to them. So yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, and then someone also mentioned that they cleaned this is the Falco with the physical wiper. And I didn't clean it or anything like that. I don't use it very often. It probably has less than 200 laps on it. But
that wouldn't have given you 3 whole heats of on-off performance. It would have been less reliable, maybe a little bit more erratic, but not 3 entire heats where you're feeling like it's an on-off switch. Yeah.
Well, some of the bands might have been deactivated, not just waited. Wow. Okay, I have to look more into it.
I was gonna say, if you've been using it for hundreds and hundreds of hours, maybe.
Okay. All right. Okay. There we go. All right, that's it for me.
Well, definitely have somebody take a look at that controller so you can make sure it gets back to.
Well, the 64th place finish wasn't a bad show.
Yeah, I finished in 60 out of 76. With the no shows.
Not last.
Good.
Exactly.
That's good.
Nice participation.
I mean, it's a challenging everything, Yeah. Good stuff. Good times. That's the important thing, right? You had fun.
Exactly. Another one up, another check mark on my bucket list.
Oh, come on, Devon. You're 63rd, not 76th.
All right, don't make it worse. All right, let's move on to Jim. Go ahead.
I,
Are you done to one?
yeah, I did have a question, Mark. Okay, because one result showed me a 60, and the next one showed 63rd with 78.
Well,
78
remember the first three qualifiers went straight to the semifinals. Those guys are in front of you.
Okay. Well, why so it still be why? How did it jump to 78 though? 78. It was 70.
No, your
Anyway,
final result was 63rd.
okay, okay, I saw that. Okay,
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead, Jim.
I'm done.
Okay, well, Dewan said a little bit there about the race, but yeah, we had a little race this last weekend in Los Angeles. And I said on my YouTube video that it was the best slot car race ever, and I haven't gotten any feedback saying that I was wrong. So I'm going to stick to that. It was just a spectacular event, as usual. Way better than last year, and we thought last year was great, and it was. So there's the, I had to cut a couple people off on the right when I cropped this picture. I think we had 75 entries, 72 racers actually showed up, if I'm not mistaken, and actually ran on the track. It was, as everybody knows, sponsored by Slotted. Maurizio was there from Italy. And so we had a great time with him. On Friday, we got to sit down with him and see some of the new stuff he's coming out with. So we saw some of that last year. He talked about the Matras, and he did introduce on Friday night a brand new Group C car. We have the 787. Now we're going to have the 767B Mazda Group C car. And it's a little different in that what they learned on some of the other cars, the chassis now is going to be supporting the body on the side, so the body actually rides on the chassis. It has two body mount screws in the front instead of a single one. They think that's better in performance, so we're looking for great things out of this car. I think it's going to be a really good race car. He showed the Matras. I guess the short tail Matra is getting closer to production, obviously, and then there's the other Matra in the background. So we'll have quite a few Matras. Saw a bunch of old friends, people from the chat. Frank's there, and so one of the things about this race that makes it such a great event is all the people there. Mark did a spectacular job doing the live interviews between lane changes and stuff like that, and all the interviews. So it was just amazing. I had an old friend of mine, Joel Johnson, who Wayne knows Joel or knows of Joel. Joel's a two-time RC world champion. So he decided to take a crack at slot car racing. Ian prepared a car for him, did a really nice paint job on it. And his nickname was Joel Magic Johnson as an RC racer. So that's kind of his the livery that he would typically use with the colors on his RC cars when he was racing back in the RC days. So all kinds of people there. Met some really cool people. I got to pit next to Michael Nemes one day, Ian Rice. Meeting some of these people that you would never normally meet in your lifetime was just that's what made the race too. So I really loved doing that and meeting Michael and beating Michael sort of.
Yeah.
His car, I looked at his car during the day and it was a regular Nissan. He's got to have something more than just the standard livery Nissan for race day. And if I would have tried some of this, it would have looked like junk. But when he puts his pen and his talent to the standard Nissan and does like graffiti like BMW art car-ish, the thing looks spectacular. So that's the car that he raced, or the body that he raced.
This car is mine now.
That car is yours? Yeah, that's an amazing looking car. And like I said, if I tried to do something like that, it would look like garbage. But when you have talent like that, it's just amazing. Here's the concourse winner. And the concourse winner, the actual winner is on the left, but there's a couple more of his cars that he had in his box. He was obviously very happy about winning concourse. And when you look into his box, when you look into his pit box, that's his pit box. So he's gone all out in terms of modeling and everything like that. And he did a really nice job on all those cars. I kind of like
back, Ian, Jim, I'm sorry. The back of his pit box is represents the wall of Electric Dreams.
Yep. It's got the Electric Dream sticker there.
No, the wall, the yellow and black.
Oh yeah, yellow and black. Yep. I kind of like this car, which my friend Jason did. It's a Pink Pig tribute livery on a Nissan. It was just well done. He was in the concourse. Didn't win, but it's a really nice car. So once we got done with all that stuff, this is Park for May, 72 cars there. So the cars are in those boxes all weekend. You know, when you go through tech, my car made it through tech, and we put them in there. They've got the your name on the front in 3 letters, like an F1 style, so you know which one's yours. If there's multiple liveries, which obviously there were, so that's parked for May. Todd is famous for bananas, so he was passing out bananas. Bananas are worth 1/10 of a second a lap, so you eat a lot of them. And some people brought their own fan club. So Arlo had his own fan club. Well, I believe that's his sister, right, Marco? Yeah, yeah. So he brought it, and she was, I've got a video of her. She was yelling, Arlo, Arlo. It's really great. So on to the race. This is qualifying. I qualified 8th. I thought I had about a 6th place car before the race started, so 8th was okay. We did all 72 qualifiers. The top 12 advanced to round 2. It was a 3-round knockout. So top 12 advanced to round 2. I didn't make it through round 2, so I was 7th out of 12 after the 2 rounds. So it's kind of right where I thought it was going to be, around 6th or 7th or so forth. Eddie put the car on the pole, and right after he went over the start-finish line, put the car on the ground. He just, I'm not lifting, I'm going through the start-finish line and pick up that extra 100th and put the car on the ground. And so we had some issues with the car after that. In the heats, the top 3 sat out. So the heats were 72 cars, there would be 69 cars in the heats. So after we ran all the heats, I ended up 3rd. So I made the move up to the semi. Top 7 advanced to the semi. The next 6 went in, because if you do the math, there's 2 spots left in the semi. He did what's called a bump, or I call it kind of a last chance. The next 6 guys that didn't make it went into one race shootout. The top 2 would advance. So that's the format of the race. And then in the semis, in the semis, you have 2 6-car semis. So the first semi was first. I was in the second semi. Michael Nemus won the first semi with 159 laps. We did the second semi, and it was obvious from the start, for whatever reason. We ran them back to back, so I can't imagine the track changed too much. But all the guys in the second semi, and they were staggered, so it was like 1, 3, 5 sort of. It wasn't top 6 in one, lower 6 in the other. I was 3rd going into the last heat, and I thought if I dropped down to 4th, I might be able to make it. I dropped down to 5th, but my time in 5th place put me 6th overall and put me in the A main. So 5 of the 6 racers came out of heat or semi 2 as opposed to semi 1. Michael, as the winner, was the only one that turned enough laps to make it into the main. And in the main, ran 3rd pretty much most of the race. Michael and Todd had problems in the first heat. I started on the red lane, which is significantly slower than the others. And after the red lane, 5-minute heats now, so it takes a toll. After the red lane, I was 4th. So I was feeling pretty good, not necessarily for the win, but I was feeling pretty good about my position in the race after running the slow lane first and being in 4th place. So, but in the end, I ran 3rd most of the race. I caught Braden, passed him in the second to the last heat, and then he went when he was in the slower lane, and then he went to a little faster lane, and he passed me in the last heat. So Ian, Braden, and I ran 1, 2, 3 for 2/3 of the race. I told Ian halfway through that he should stop and let us catch up with him. It would be the nice thing to do. Yeah, he didn't do it. So he killed it. Oh, I'm sorry, I got a little ahead there.
What a jerk.
Yeah, no kidding. I think he claims that he had his earbuds in and didn't hear me, but no, he did acknowledge me. But, so that was the race. Michael finished 4th, Brandon 5th, and Todd 6th. Ian won by quite a ways. You know, 2nd and 3rd were very close, and Michael was not too far behind me. I was not feeling good about it going into the week because my cars were just not very good. So I borrowed a car from my friend Rick Jockum, and it's a Jaguar. And so I had the fastest Jaguar, the only Jaguar in the A main, the only non-Nissan, I think, in both semis. So I was really happy with the Jaguar. It ran flawlessly. It got better as the race went on. And so being a 3rd place in the A main, I came home with 2 cars. Rick called me the next day and said, "You ran a great race, just keep that car." So I got that car. Nice. And the 3rd place prize, everybody in the A main got a prize, or got a car as a prize. So I got that one, which I really like, actually. And because it's electric dreams, you can't go down there and come come back without buying a car. So I got this one. Dennis showed me his that he'd worked on and painted. So I ended up buying the Ferrari 488, which is fairly new, white kit. And
Fantasy car.
came back with 3 cars: the car I raced, the car that I won, and the 488. Excuse me. After the race, because it was a spec tire, spec wheel, no shenanigans on the wheels, no inserts, no foam inserts in the tires. So the top 3, the tires were torn down. So I have a useless pair of tires right now, but that's okay.
That's kind of cool.
Oh, sorry, I keep scrolling the wrong way. So yeah, so the top 3 cars were torn down to make sure that the big deal with that is that the ribs on the air channels were not cut down lower, because NSR makes a lower rib that seems to work, in my opinion, works better, but you were not allowed to do that. You had to run the wheels stock. You could sand the side there, and you see on the side to allow the glue to stick, but you couldn't touch the rib, and definitely no inserts, so they were torn down. And so that's my tire after Marco got done with it at the end of the race. So we did good. Braden, first time in a big race. Ian, we know what Ian does. And we're all all NorCal, and we're all local Motown racers. And so we swept the podium. We did pretty well. I was really happy. It's one of the few times I got third and was very satisfied with it, just because of the way things played out. And I captioned this picture on the Motown website a little differently. And then one real quick story, and then I'm done, is that obviously thanks go out to Marco and Maurizio putting this thing on. Maurizio did well. He won his heat. But the guys working on his car, which was Rick, he goes, "Can I borrow a set of tires for Maurizio's car?" So I have a set of tires that were torn down. I have a set of tires that I still have, and I have a set of tires that went on Maurizio's car. And he came back to me and said, "Can we give away your tires?" I go, "What the heck are you talking about?" "Well, Maurizio is going to give this car away, and the car he raced at the end of the day, and it's got your tires on it. So can we give them away?" I said, "Sure, no problem." And I just assumed that was going to be like a door prize, but it wasn't. It went to the winner, obviously well deserved. So here's Ian getting Maurizio's car as a prize with my tires on it. So I texted him after the race and I said, "Did the car that you won, as the Maurizio car that you got, did it have blue dots on the side of it?" And he goes, "Yes." I go, "Yeah, I can tell you why."
My tire.
So again, we just had a spectacular time there. I said it was the best slot car race I've ever been to, and I mean that, because of the broadcasting. The broadcasting was beyond anything I've ever seen on any slot car race before, including the last 2 Electric Dreams Nationals. The event itself, just the atmosphere, meeting all the people from all over the world, and doing very well. I was very happy with my performance. I was pretty frustrated on Thursday because my cars were just mediocre at best. And then being able to get a car from Rick and Walt helped me a lot. And I told Walt the morning of the race, "I got a 6th place car." He goes, "Well, go for it." And ended up, we got 3rd. So I was very happy with that. So thanks, Marco. Appreciate the event.
Ian's still on the YouTubes, and he says, "I will finally have a good set of tires."
He asked me this morning. He thought I wanted them back. So, "Do you really want those back?" "I kind of want to keep the car as it was given to me." "No, I don't." So I've talked to him about it. It's great. So I just thought it was kind of ironic.
Yeah, that's funny.
That's it for me.
Awesome. Wow. Wayne still has his record intact.
That's right. Yeah.
Fantastic. I mean, like I said, I couldn't be there. I had another thing. I was actually thinking of springing for it myself, but then my other thing ended up on the same weekend. But
one thing I forgot to mention too, how intense that A main was. I was running very, very competitive lap times, not quite as fast as the 2 or 3 fastest guys, but within a tenth. My time on red was 5:61. The lap record on the board, it keeps the lap records, was 5:55. So I was less than a tenth of a second off the lap record on the red lane. And in 30 minutes, I only had 1 off.
No, we have to praise a little bit Jim's driving, because if he came off one time during the whole day, it was too much. I didn't see him crashing. I didn't see him complaining. I didn't see him yelling his lane caller. was a hell of a
If you would have
drive.
been inside my head, you would have heard me complaining. But
I think
well,
he
I got
had
I
his,
well
he had,
honestly,
he
I
had,
got it.
he
I
had
got
his
it really
lows.
bad, Marshall. I came off, which is my fault, and he fumbled with the car. And if somebody was, and I don't mean this as a well, it's I guess it is a criticism, but that happens. If he was not paying attention and let my car sit for half a lap, then I would have been mad. But I could see him trying to get the car in, and he just missed. And so it cost me about a half a lap besides the crash, but that wouldn't have made a difference in the position.
Oh, this
So
supposed to be a positive commentary, so you can end up your presentation. But yeah, sure. So
but yeah, I mean,
Jim,
that was the race of my life.
Jim had the worst car of the 12 semifinalists. Was incredible. He was just going for it, and he went for it, and he almost ended up second. It would be very hard to deal with Ian. Ian had the best car over there. I think that the best three cars overall of the 75 was Todd's, Ian's, Ian Douglas, and Ian Rice from Australia. Ian Rice came up on a Thursday. He put up he was the first customer at the store, like 9 a.m. He was at the door. So he put his box, picks up his car and starts to drive to learn the track. And then I noticed that the car was super fast and I have to introduce myself. So I went there, introduced myself, saw him doing a couple laps and said, "Can I try it?" Yeah, sure. So I picked up my controller and I did a 6:13, which is, I believe, was still the fastest lap of the weekend. And
yeah,
it was
no
very
6-1 in a race at all.
No 6-1s of the race. So it was very impressive that this guy comes straight from Australia, puts his car on the track, and the car is already fast without even changing one screw out of it. So he learned this. He learned the assignment. He was putting his time watching the videos, reading the rule book, and it was the most impressive thing that I see because he put the car on the track and the car was the fastest. So Todd, Ian, and Todd had a big crash in the first heat of the final, so that's why he ended up in sixth. Same problem with Michael. Michael had a big problem on the first heat. He couldn't get clean tires. He couldn't drive. And then Jim was there, very doing a great job driving. Braden, I'm sorry, but he messed up his qualifying and he ended up on the third or something, and he came back. He did a great comeback, and everybody was rooting for him. But Jim was there.
Except me. Except me.
Yeah.
I
was rooting for him too.
How did Jim's car pass tech inspection? That's the thing I want to know.
There's a thing called bribing that he can just go from the back door, and he can send us check. We're set checks too now. So,
but Marco, you scared the hell out of me in tech. I go into tech. You take the body off. It was a Jaguar. You didn't need to weigh it, but you weighed it anyway.
It's you. So that's why I wait.
You look at the motor. It goes 83, and Mill goes, "No, that's not his motor." Yeah. I go, "Oh crap! What did I do?" And no, it was 38.
I couldn't read. Sorry.
Yeah,
I'm getting old.
So, Jim, what's your take on why your cars were subpar?
My personal
according to Marco.
I don't know. I mean, they were reasonably good, but they weren't anywhere near. It was like a C or a D main car. If we had C or D mains, it was not. It was mediocre at best. Maybe the tires just came in. Maybe the tires just came in, and I didn't wait long enough on my cars. But I don't. I can't. If I knew, I would tell you. But I have no idea. Maybe the car I ran had better traction magnets in it. I don't know.
Yeah, the wood magnet. Yeah,
the special one. Yeah.
Yeah, there's people asking about you too, Wayne. Yeah. So,
what's up with that Wayne guy? Jeez.
Listen, I think we got to give. I want to hear a little kudos from Marco, man. The commentary, the YouTube, the everything, the man on the street interviews, the way the camera changes. Marco, that is awesome.
Did you guys notice the Angie Granatelli reference on him on Mark's suit? The STP suit. Yeah. I've been dealing with Angie Granatelli for the last month. He's following me on my desk here.
The STP logo that says slot cars are back.
Yeah. I didn't. The final product of the suit was not what I was planning to. The guy was doing that for the last day, so I'm gonna redo that for the next one. But yeah, it was a very harsh experience for us. As you guys know, we have a very small group of people working at Electric Dreams. It has been growing, but we have to count with everyone, and everybody did extra hours. I think when my last paycheck shows 72 hours for a 6-day period, 7-day period. So yeah, and Carlos too. I have to give a lot of credit to Carlos. I don't know if you know that, but Carlos and I, we come from a TV broadcasting film background. So we've been trying to use that on a purpose to promote the business, promote the hobby. And when the nationals came up, I came to him to look, we're going to do something crazy. We're going to have cameras all around. I'm going to try to bring Ian and Doug from the UK, because I know them for over 5 years. When I go to the UK festival, I went to their shop. They picked me up several times over there. We went to Williams together. So I know how to spot talent. And I know that they could do a very good job commentating it. So we made an extra effort with Mauricio to bring them over to comment to the race. And right now I'm already talking to them to see if they can come for the MR Zotcar Challenge next month and for the NSR Western Championship on December. It was a great show. There's a lot of people over there in the background, like John, like Mark, who just got it. It's mine, I do it. Kristen, who was in the background helping with sales while the store was open. I had to let a guy go over a week ago, which complicated a lot of things. But small things, like we work a lot, like John had to take the van and drove almost 2 hours each way to pick up the bleachers. I believe that's the very first slot car racing in a store that I have a bleacher for everybody to watch it, which is something that we're a little proud about it. Scott, who when he saw my pitch, he said, "Okay, go for it." And a lot of things. There are things that didn't work very well. We plan to put a communication system between the driver, and we're gonna have a headphone for a spotter, so he can communicate. And then there's a second channel that you can listen to the commentary. So we're gonna have headphones on each driver station. Me and Carlos, we couldn't figure out. We ordered so many parts. There's no way to have this happen, so we might need professional help. There's another funny thing that I was planning to have somebody singing the anthem. I didn't know that it could be too cheesy or maybe too exaggerated for the event. But my idea was to have somebody singing the anthem and have a drone crossing the store with white, red, and blue smoke on it. So on the last Thursday, we tried the smoke. We tried a drone with the smoke. So I put the grenade. We bought the grenades. It's called a smoke grenade. So we put those grenades on the drone and we did the flights and everything was working, right? So they can go. He stops in the parking lot. Somebody goes there and picks up. So okay, let's put the grenades on it. Put the grenades. The weight was not a problem. Drone going back. Okay, let's pull one grenade. Let's see what's going on. And that was like Thursday, 8 p.m. And then I have Michael from filming, and we try with one. The drone kind of goes shaky because it's too much smoke. He did the flight. The smoke doesn't look very well. And then when he stops the drone outside the store, trying to land it, the smoke kind of took care of all the sensors. The drone went crazy. We lost the drone. we found out. We found that on the roof of the building, the opposite corner, like 1 hour and a half later, we found the drone because of the smoke that was still coming out of it. So a lot of work. We were looking forward to go home on the 2 days before the race, and we have to deal with this. But yeah, we were doing those small surprises. I wanted to put a big show. I think it's important for our store, for any store, and that's a little bit of critique to my competitors, to put together races and show the love for slot cars. And when we represent a store the size of Electric Dreams, we need to put the biggest show out there. So this is setting the parameter. I think even European stores are gonna like to have more cameras, more commentary, more clear information for who is watching it. As I don't know if you noticed, guys, but we have proper sponsors. We have commercials in between the heats. And those are not just YouTube videos that we downloaded. We were in contact with partners and sponsors. So we have Kia, McLaren, City of El Segundo, LA Auto Show, Peterson Museum was there, a bunch of guys. I will forget all the names, but it's a lot of little things that put together, and I have to praise the crew that was working with me, especially Carlos. That I was telling him that if he were married, he would be divorced by now. But Carlos, Kristen, John became a good team player in the last couple of weeks. Mark is incredible, and Dan is helping me on the background. Dan is probably did 12 pairs of those very weird tires for guests and people that reset up cars. Ian Weir and Edward and Doug Edwards and Tim, who came from Magnetic Racing to help us out with the commentary. And also Michael Niemann, who was present for almost a week. He stayed here at my house. He did a workshop on Monday. Juan took the workshop. Michael is one of the biggest exotic car influencers in the world. And he was kind enough to share a lot about the track, a lot about the race. And the other three guys that we sponsored to bring, Pete from Track Fence TV, Massimo from MP's Cars Canada, and Raul from Conquest Racing from Canada. Those guys were incredible there. They're not actually racers, but they took their cars, they tried the race, and they were having fun there too. So it's not only it was my vision, everything since the first one. This one I kind of want to give a bigger step, but without the guys helping out, never going to be possible. And of course, Scott for proving everything. He came to the qualifying day. He was having his fun over there. Yeah, it's good to show the store like it was for the boss. Maybe I can ask for a raise there.
Good stuff.
I was cool seeing those commercials inserted. I really like that concept to go out and get those vendors and sponsors to have this commercial work over.
Yeah,
especially because it wasn't just random YouTube ads. It was
yeah
inserted at the appropriate times and sponsored by sponsors for electric trains. Yeah, that was.
Yeah, we have a couple of there was 12 partners / sponsors. The majority was people that we want to get into business with, like Chip Ganassi Racing, McLaren, Kia, and this kind of automotive role. We have Pirelli, I think. But the other people, there's like 3 or 4 local ads from the El Segundo Chamber of Commerce that we are partners for. We're sponsors. We're sponsors for the El Segundo Car Show that happens in 2 weeks, and we're gonna have like a tent there and a track. And those came from the city of El Segundo, so we're helping the local community too.
I just noticed that Travis, that slot car guy, is on the YouTubes. He has picked up the gauntlet that you have thrown down, and apparently there's going to be some more competitive activity with their broadcast quality from down under.
Very nice. Bring it over.
Hey, with the results that you had, did you post them online with the person's car of choice? Because I'm kind of curious. I noticed the top drivers had the same car, and then Jim had a different car, so it was kind of unusual. I'd like to see like where the 962 finished, like the top person with the 962, just to kind of get an idea of.
Well, I have the results here. I'm gonna have to remember by head. I think the very first 962 will be.
Well, I just do 962 out there as an example. Like, I assume what was the top car, Jim?
Well, I would say 75% of the whole field were Nissans, probably.
No, 50%. There's a lot of Jaguars.
Yeah, we're looking for a post somewhere that has like an Excel spreadsheet with the drivers, cars, laps, who finished where.
Well,
so we know
too much now.
Where Juan was.
Yeah,
you're asking too much now.
Well, if you're not aware of the rules, last year there were no limits on the body weight, and it was predominantly Nissans. So Marco changed the rules. This year, the body off the car had to weigh 18 grams, and you had to put the weight right under the driver's seat. And I had to put 4.5 grams on my Nissan. The Jaguars in the liveried cars were around 19, so I didn't have to worry about weighing my car or weighing my body on that car. So, but yeah, quite a bit of weight went into the Nissans. Last year, the fast lap was 5.97, I think. This year, the fast lap was about 0.2 slower than that.
Yeah, but there's
other things too. Yeah, there's definitely other things.
More elements, right? So this year was way harder than last year. We allowed to use the 10 pinion instead of only the 9. So this year you can choose between the 9 and the 10th. And the G25 tire was just too much, maybe. But that's going to be the choice for next year too.
Yeah, we weren't allowed to run inserts like you saw in my tire. If we ran inserts, we'd probably, in my opinion, we'd be at least 1/10 to 2/10 faster because they'd roll the corners better. But it was the same for everybody, so it's not like I'm not complaining about that.
Yeah,
tire.
We can be 1 to 2/10 slower compared to next year, but for sure the field was closer to each other.
You're right.
I can pick it up one car that came in 15, and I can do a 6.4 very, very easily. And then if you have a little bit of a more tuning from the top guys, maybe that car that was a 6.4 could be a 6.2 easily too.
Yeah, so the tires were different. The body was different if you ran a Nissan, and it was a 10-tooth pinion instead of a 9-tooth pinion allowed. So the top speed of the car was a little faster. The body made it a little bit worse, and the tires worked well. But I think if we had open tires, we would have gone faster. But there's a reason why we don't have open tires.
So yesterday, we need to drop Michael at the airport at 3 p.m. So he was getting ready with his stuff. We were at the store. I pick up his car, pick up my controller, look at me with fear on his face. Said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm gonna go to beat your time, and you're not gonna have time to beat my time." So I did, and now he's 12 hours flight back to Germany thinking about it.
Yeah, I would have to agree with the tires this year. I'm really happy with that choice. Those G25s worked well. They were sticky. They handled really good. I had the chance to tune the guys' cars from Mexico, and they actually, one of them beat me with the tuned car I did. So all the guys in Northern California are really happy with that G25 tire. It was a good call on that, Marco. And no inserts even better.
Yeah.
Jerry, what kind of car did you race?
I also had a Nissan. I also had a Jaguar that I painted, XJR10, but it just I haven't been able to get it.
And I think the best the best Porsche finish was Mark on 32nd. Maybe I don't remember Fernando from Mexico. He might have raced a Porsche too. He ended up.
I beat Mark, and I was running a Porsche.
There you go. So yeah, we have Danny 25th.
We need that spreadsheet.
And
I'm gonna have to remember by head
and Cedric was running a Lancia, and he came in like 14th.
His car was really good.
Yeah.
So next year we're gonna have passport photos of all the drivers in the cars, and during the warm up, the announcers will present the cars and the drivers and the nationality or from which state they came from, just like old IndyCar broadcasting, NBC, whatever it is. Can I tell you one more thing about the race that is very curious? I have a parrot. You guys, I don't know if I ever showed you on the camera, but I have a parrot, and he used to sing whistle the NBA theme song from TNT, because every time that I watch he goes da 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 da. So we need some theme song for the Nationals, because if you watch in between commercials, we have the Nationals logo coming up, and there's a little music, right? So I start to do a research, and I start right away with the TNT theme song to see if that was what my parrot was doing, and it was not. So I searched for several years, it was not. So okay, so I tried ESPN, I tried ABC, I tried several, like I got like 20 links to send to the composer, but I need to give him a note on the melody. So I filmed my parrot whistling, and that was the song.
Was it?
Yeah. So the song that you hear is composed by my parrot.
Nice.
Yeah, that's some interesting stories.
Was the format change a good idea, or did it make the event quite long on the Sunday?
I didn't catch your question. Sorry.
The format change.
The format change that you did.
Oh, yeah.
The racing went. What was your take on? What was your surmising on that? Because it did take a long time. It looked like the venue was nearly empty by the end of the A final.
Yeah, we finished around 8:30, but that's normal.
We had a power outage too. That was about a half an
Yeah,
hour.
yeah, no, 15 minutes. I kept my straight face. Everybody was looking at me and say everything's under control, but it wasn't. But thank God everything was. Yeah, the format was a little different for qualifying, especially. Took longer, took at least 2 more hours on qualifying. And last year we were sold out 2 months before the race, and I have only 72. And in my head, I know that the very top guys in qualifying, they will ended up on semifinals, whatever happens. So I already put those guys automatically in semifinals. So that was for the race, but for qualifying, I divided in Q1, Q2, Q3, or Fast 6, Top 12, whatever you want to call. And I gave more time for the top 6 to challenge each other to do the pole. So if you see the Q1, the pole was Michael with a 629, and then Eddie came with the Q2 with a pole, and then Ian could do the Q3 pole and the final pole because he had more time to test and experiment. So that was a change that I want to do because I believe it will be more enjoyable to watch, and you're gonna have more track time. So the top 3 guys went straight to the semifinal, and then I have from the overall heats I have 72 racers. So that's why I opened. Since last year we were sold out for 72. This year I opened to 75, so I have 3 more to come. I don't believe we can have a bigger event like that, on this format, at least at the Electric Dreams. It's too much. And then at 72, I have 12 heats because we have a 6-lane race. Top 6 go over, and then I had another chance or last chance, or what I want to call bump heat, as bumped in Indy 500, from the 8th to the 13th. I have 6 more guys could give another go to see who qualifies, and I have two more spaces over there in the semifinal. Then the semifinal is staggered, so they don't race each other. The top drivers could be mixed, and then we have the 6 best one for the final, which is 2 minutes longer. It's 5 minutes heats. So that's the format that I created. I've been using this for over a year. On all the other manufacturers' races that we have at the store, you use that format. I think this is the fine tuning of it. We have Scale Auto opening our season. We have the Nationals now in August. In a month, we have the MR slot car that are going to announce the rules by the end of this week. And then we have the NSR Western Championship coming in December. That might change the name for Race of Champions like they have in Italy. So we can use the same graphic materials and everything else. But yeah, it's a format that I think it's very enjoyable because if you see the broadcasting, even if you won only your heat and you're far away from the semifinal, you're celebrating that you won your heat. It was very important. Both drivers from Mexico, they won their heats, and they were talking about the first gold medal compared to the Olympics because they don't have any gold medal on the Olympics. So we have something to celebrate. Like the one here, he was celebrating his third place on his heat. So you have your own race if you divide that way, and you have the chance to go to the semifinals. I believe it's a very enjoyable format.
Yep, great experience.
It was enjoyable to watch, especially
Yeah.
with the commentators and everything. Probably good.
Yeah, Ian and Doug, they did an amazing job. They stay on the boot forever. Doug raced it, so I have a chance to give Ian to mock him during his racing. Yeah, we have Aro coming, Aro, the 8-year-old, coming to comment too, and he was being much more technical than me and Doug, saying things like, he's losing time on the 3rd sector of the track. So what this boy is talking about? Yeah, so it was very fun. The whole event was very fun. We sold tickets for you to get in. You need to buy a paddock pass, what you call. We have some VIPs coming over. We have the head of the Long Beach Grand Prix on Friday. Chris Agajanian was there. John Morton was there. A couple other guys that I'm not gonna remember, but it was a very cool event to put it together. And I think we're pushing the envelope on this broadcasting thing, organizing big races, and I hope that it's not only us. I hope other people do, not only worldwide, but also my competitors here in America, because I believe that if you're selling, you need to promote it and not only try to sell.
And we're seeing a crossover too, because those of you that know 24 scale race in the United States, Justin Colvin has been the dominant driver in the last few years, and he came and raced. Paul Goronsky, who's been the GOAT as far as American drivers with world championships, he's said he's coming next year. So we're seeing that crossover. Justin had a few issues here and there, but his car was really fast. He had an A main car, but just luck or whatever just didn't quite get there. But
Paul is coming for the NSR race in December. He already got his Monster.
So it's great to see that crossover from those guys that a lot of those people look down on us, and those are just toy cars, and see them come over. It's great.
Yeah, Paul is just fantastic. He puts the car on the track. He learns the track on the first lap. He's already up to speed. And I remember that. Oh, let me show the track. So I clean up the tires. I give it a lap, and then I beep the record. So beep. I'll say, okay, let's say it's 6.6, whatever. And say, now you learn. And then I was walking back to my office, and he just beep me, like couldn't come back to it. So I had to come back and do another lap, and then we battled for a couple of minutes. But he's very fast. It's unbelievable.
Yeah,
You might want to watch out for Mark, though. He might finish up presenting the weather on some local TV channel the way he's going. He did a really good job presenting as well, doing live crosses or something.
Thank you. Yeah. We now are negotiating with a channel called All Sports Network. We might have a 45-minute cut from the race on Amazon Prime next month.
Cool.
Yeah. My goal is to have live on a TV network. It will happen soon.
Well, you had a great
About a big digital event, Marco.
Thank you.
How about a big digital event?
Big digital event. Yeah. The digital event is kind of difficult for us because we don't have any help from Carrera. It has been very hard to deal with the company. I can make this publicly because I've been learning from new products from my competitors' newsletter. So it's very hard to do it.
Carrera. Why Carrera?
Yeah, why? Why not slot it? Of course.
No, it's not the Carrera, the digital market here for us. It's probably 80%, maybe 90% Carrera. Scalextric's Hornby is very, very weak, and it's slotted. It's hard to catch up in America. I don't have many customers that use it. And for sure, I don't have nobody racing. Nobody of our core group of 40, 50 racers, they don't use it. So it's very hard for me to turn something new. Also, based on the fact that historically, what we have here in America are the race concept with wooden tracks and analog cars. So this is another thing very hard to deal with, to change at this point. And what we're doing is trying to take advantage of the raceway format that was born in Van Nuys in the late 50s to have this group of races together. So it's very hard to switch. Today, what we do of digital is basically home racers. We don't have any club here. I don't see nobody doing it. And we sell the products, but we don't have this culture at the store. And I have been nobody that produce those products. They don't come along. They don't want to promote it. I never got any feature.
Well, we might see something in the future somewhere in the States using some kind of digital.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Real quick.
Is that a lead-in, Marco? Are you going to convert the polycar track to digital and hold a big 24-hour race?
Mauricio,
he basically just said no.
Yeah. No, but Mauricio just came up with the lane changers, right? But for me, as a user, I think everything is too complicated. There's too many beeping, too many soldering, too many digital chips. There's like to put it, even a Carrera. I see a Carrera digital going. You need to turn the controller, beep here, program this, and that. It's just too much.
So I'm gonna just say, those are the words from a person who is not enthused by digital, who does not appreciate the nature of digital, which is, I'm not going to disagree here that the majority of slot racers out there don't give a hoot about digital, are not enthused about digital, and are not willing to deal with the things that go along with digital.
But in my position, should have no prejudice against it, and I should learn, and I should be more user friendly. But so far, I don't think we have a popular product. I don't think we have a product that can be popular as it is the analog racing right now. I understand everything, every aspect. I understand all the possibilities that you have is much bigger than the analog one. But I also think that people who are enjoying digital are not enjoying analog racing and tuning and parts and truing and faster.
What is he trying to say?
You haven't been paying any attention, have you?
No, I'm sure. I think it's a different way to enjoy the hobby. As you have as a collector, as a hoarder, as a guy who wants to paint, as a guy who wants to race analog, as a guy who wants to race digital. And what
you're doing the digital, you're doing the uninitiated digital trope of digital means magnet cars with no tuning.
Could it be?
It does not. Absolutely does not.
Yeah.
The cars that you guys are racing on down the event you just had.
Yeah.
Compared to the cars that they're racing at the Oxygen, the Disca Oxygen events, 24-hour. I'll be nice and say very similar.
I know. Those cars are very similar to the cars that we race at the 24 hours with the Nico track. There's a lot of going on there too. But I mean that the average user, and you just told me that is.
You're right, but also the average user of analog cars doesn't do all that stuff either.
The average user of analog cars doesn't get out their seat and go to a big international race like Marco hosts.
No, they don't take the magnets out. They don't.
Yeah, but at the same time, Greg, I think that we have more people in America based on culture and based on history that are coming to an analog race than a digital race.
You're right, and that's also true of the UK and Europe.
Probably, yeah.
But the digital races are successful.
Oh yes. Disca is huge. I'm planning to be there next year. Yeah. No, the silage tracks are amazing. There's a lot of Mauricio is investing a lot of money in the lane changer. Scale Auto is putting a lot of money in lane changer that you can adapt any chip that you want and you can run any system that you want. It's beautiful, but I still think it's too complicated. That's my opinion. And the companies that are doing this, they're not helping me to promote. Like if I have a deal on the table to do the digital track and I have the right way to do it and being assessed by them, I will do it. Like we have the space to put a big digital track in 6 lane or something, but there is no market here for us. There's no way to exploit this. It's still too small. And for me, it's easier to make an analog race on a wooden track because this is printed on the American culture. I'm open to change, but this needs to come from.
No, you're right. It's definitely a higher percentage of analog racers. It's definitely easier to fill a 75 slot analog race than.
And remember that the polycar track just came like 6 months ago with the lane changer. The scale order is not ready yet, so I need to rely on Carrera, and Carrera doesn't give me any green flag to do anything like that.
Well, hopefully when the slotted lane changer is, or the polycar lane changer, I should say, is more widespread, you will explore the opportunities for, with your Samsung Raceway to install a couple of those, get some more experience. But there are benefits, and those benefits are the downtime that you experience with your analog races in terms of lane changes and all that business is... It just eats time, quite honestly, to come all that way to potentially qualify for 1 minute and then race for 18 is a very low return on the investment of the travel.
If we go to a real racing, if we go to an Indy weekend, you're there from Wednesday to Monday, and you have very little track time. You practice, you tune your car, you do the qualifying, you sit out. That's the format of a real race. And the plus on this is that you're having network. We're dealing with a lot of nice people from all around the road. So
I understand. Yeah. I do see the attraction. I mean, a lot of people, and I've been speaking to someone while we were in the chat who's also attracted to the prospect of
plus gives you more value when you finally get to the track. So I want to see the sweat palms. I need to see people nervous about it because they're there prepping for that.
This might be an opportunity for somebody in the Pacific Northwest to start a digital tournament.
Yeah. There you go, Greg. Let's go.
Make it viable, and they will come.
I'm doing the things that I can, but Alan does not have a multimillionaire and a big team behind him, so can't do quite the same thing as Marco can.
He's got more than that. He has you, Greg,
and tens of dollars.
If you put 10 cars on 2 lanes, that's enough. You've got a fantastic event right there. It's only 10 cars, not 70.
Yeah, maybe we can Maurice is pushing us, and he's the only one pushing us to put the lane changers on the plastic track, on his polycar track that we have there. And that can be done because, as far as I understand it, there's the oxygen system. You can still, if you install those tracks over there, you can still run the track as an analog.
Yep.
So yeah, so that might be.
Marco, you could lay 2 to 4 lanes on top of Cunningham Raceway and have a perfectly acceptable digital layout there.
Yeah, but at the same time, I don't have the group. I don't think I'm gonna have 10 people.
Yeah, I hear
you. Yeah.
Yeah. The first of if and when I can't speak for Alan. If and when a digital event happens in my neck of the woods, it'll start small, just because of everything that we're talking about. But
you're never going to get away from the technical aspect of soldering in a digital chip, and that's 4 more solder joints.
Well, I mean, I basically said, look, if you're going to do this, it needs to be Disca spec, because you're going to need to have the appeal to international racers. People come from all over the world to compete in the Disca 24. Even if you want if you do want a small event, you still want to be able to say, look, here there's the specs right there. If you're in the States, come up and enjoy the smallish race. And then if that works well, then we move on to doing bigger things. He does 24-hour races every year, but analog on his 2 separate, 6 and 8 lane tracks. So he totally has the facility to do it, but it's, like Marco was talking about.
They don't have to start or that long. They don't have to be that long.
No. That's what I'm saying. The first race is not going to be a 24-hour. The first event, when it happens, I'll say when it happens, will probably just be a 4 or a 6 or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. We do them over 3, and they're perfectly filled. They fill a day, including some practice and qualifying in the morning.
But nobody's going to come from Australia or Europe.
No, of course, not for that. No.
Yeah.
No, that's the way that you make an event popular. We do the first one, and then increase a little bit here and there on the second one, and then you go.
That's how it works. So
but you need to find the right partners, and I don't think you're going in the right direction, Greg. Sorry.
Carrera sure isn't going to come out and drop a bunch of money, like you said.
I'm surprised that you say that with the relationship that you have with Slotted and them being the obvious choice.
I think he might have been referring to Alan.
Yeah, it was, but I'm surprised to hear Mark say that.
So come up in an Open Electric Dreams up here. I can't come down to California all the time, and you pretty much just said digital is not happening at Electric Dreams anytime soon. So,
but Greg, if you want to be the ambassador of this digital race, we're gonna lay down on top of the wooden track. We can lay down a 4-lane polycar track, and you do it.
But quite honestly, I think that there's a big difference when talking about. There's a difference in talking about digital racing and disco racing, right? The disco races are, number one, they're endurance races. Nobody is running those as individual sprint races, right?
Yeah, they are.
Everything is endurance race. Everything is a team race. That's one thing.
Disca is a spec. It's an organization that provides common rules and specifications for different classes.
For oxygen-based endurance racing.
No, they don't specify oxygen anywhere.
Oh, okay.
Really? So how does the system mix? Can I race 2 different systems on the same race?
No, what I'm saying is that they don't say if you run an event, it has to be oxygen. They're not saying that they only support the oxygen system.
But I mean, if you're going to run a big event, what are you going to run as your big event? Is
Oxygen,
it big
Scorpius.
digital? And what does big digital mean? Is it
It's Oxygen or Scorpius.
no? Is it individual people running individuals,
Certainly
or
It can be.
It can
but
be.
even then, if you've got 70 guys, you can't run 70 guys at once on anybody's digital.
That's true.
No,
So-
but you could run a two lane layout on top of Cunningham Raceway and put 10 cars on there at once. And that way you get through your 70 drivers in 7 races.
So
The reason you guys are focusing on Oxygen is because it's
I'm trying to understand what the problem is. Is the problem that the guys are there for too long? Or is the problem that the guys are not getting enough track time?
You're asking what the problem with analog is?
No, the reason that anybody would change away from what we've got as a big race, right? Because that's the first thing that Wayne asked right at the beginning. He said, how did the change of format affect the race this year? Right? And what it did was it made the racing day a bit longer. And yes, if you could get rid of all of those 2 minutes between the lane changes inside all of those heats, yes, you can compress that amount of time. But the racer himself is not getting any more track time during the race day.
Why not?
So if that is what you're trying to get at, then the digital thing's not going to help you. All it's doing is putting more cars on the track at once.
So guys, let me break the ice with the composer.
Hey.
Oh, thanks. Yeah.
Anyway,
that's the composer.
Your comment, Dennis, is perfectly valid. Yes, if you're using a system limited to less number of cars than there are people, then yes, you've got to do some kind of rotational, heats or mains or whatever kind of system. But I go back to what I said earlier about Marco's attitude, which is that's from somebody who doesn't want to race digital. There is a fundamental difference between digital and analog, which is you're sharing the lane on digital. There is a different way of racing. There's a different way of thinking about the racing, not running through a car, not being run through by a car, changing lanes, all that stuff that appeals to some people. Some people like the idea of digital more than the idea of analog.
It widens the gamut of capability for a driver. You have to be a lot more than just running around in your own lane, don't you?
It's a different kind of slot car racing. It's still a car in a slot, but it's not everybody in their own lane. I'm not saying that there isn't having to deal with somebody in the next lane over with analog racing. I certainly know that. But fundamentally, it's just a different way of slot car racing.
Yes, agreed.
If you don't already, if you're not looking at digital going, damn, that sounds awesome, I want to do that, then of course it doesn't make any sense to do digital, right? If you're not already in the mindset of that's cool, I want to do that rather than analog, then it doesn't make any sense. Simple as that.
But it does open the door to expanding the size of an event. Like you said, I don't know how big his building is, but it seems like it might be quite full with 70 to 100 people in there already. So that's pretty much the capacity of any event that's in Electric Dreams. But it actually removes most of the wasted time, and it opens the opportunity to get more cars on the track at once with much less downtime, and therefore it can be bigger.
Less downtime for the racing, but not necessarily for the driver. Okay.
Yeah, imagine those qualifying heats for 20 minutes, not 18, and there were no 2-minute segments in between. There was all that faffing around with cooling motors and taping tires.
it's a logical thing. You're gonna have more track time during the race, during practicing.
Yeah.
Event's gonna end up with more cars on the track. Of course, you're gonna have more time and everything.
More time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but you're limited to the number of cars that whatever system in use supports, right? So if you say we're going to do Carrera Digital, then you're limited to 6 cars. Electric Digital, Carrera Digital, Ninco, whatever. You're limited to 6 cars, 9 cars with old Ninco Digital, 20 cars with Oxygen, 24 with Scorpius. Each system
You're never going to put that. You're never going to put that number on the track.
None of those are going to support 75 racers, right? So in order to support a large group of people, you either have to do mains and rotations or teams.
Okay.
Either way, each individual driver is not going to have necessarily more track time because they're having to share their track time with the other members of their team or during a rotation. Which is why none of that is determinative of which is the better choice between analog or digital. Right? You're gonna have to deal with those things.
Trying to say that one is better than the other in the first place.
Nobody's saying one is better than the other.
No.
What I'm saying is that they're different, and so I would love to participate in a big digital event. I love digital racing. I prefer digital racing, but I know from personal experience how hard it is to get a bunch of digital guys together.
Yeah.
My digital group died when COVID hit. I race analog, right? So maybe I need to try to get the band back together, whatever. But I'm not arguing that it's not harder to get digital going. I'm agreeing with that.
Maybe we should start with a smaller event. Maybe it's a 4-hour enduro with 6 teams.
I already said that.
Well, it doesn't have to be enduro.
First event when an event happens, it's going to be a smaller event. It's not going to be a big old thing.
What about we set a date? I'm serious. Let's set a date.
So you're talking to the guy who says how to start a club is choose a name, choose a location, set a date. That's your club. I know how it works. And I don't have the venue myself.
Okay, Greg, let's set a date. Let's do this race. The first, I'm serious.
No, you're not. You're fucking.
I am. You don't work with me. Dennis works with me. Jim knows what I'm talking about.
If he's serious, Wayne, schedule your trip to Los Angeles. Greg,
yeah.
You two show up, host it.
No, and that's serious. 1 week after the nationals next year, we're gonna have a digital track with a polycar track and lane change on top of the Samson Raceway, and we're gonna have at least 6 teams to race enduro. What about that? Let's do it. Maurice is going to be happy. Maurice will stay for over one more weekend lane. And I'm pretty sure that at least 3 teams from my side, I can do it. And if you bring 1 team from your group, Greg, we have 4. We're just missing 2.
But you don't want to do digital. It's too complicated.
Why not? I need to learn. And if you're willing to come here and help us to do this, if you want to be the ambassador of this race, we're going to do it. I want to learn about it. We really don't know.
When you've had a taste of it,
send me an email.
You will get it. You will understand. You will pick it up. You will get it. You will learn a heck of a lot.
No.
I raced a couple times. It's still not on professional level, so I want to see it. We can do the LMP cars from Slotted, and it can be a extension of the Nationals weekend.
I never assume that anybody who drives digital will like it.
Will like it what?
Will like driving digital. A lot of analog drivers just cannot abide having to share their lane with somebody else. Cannot abide having to not get run through and not run through somebody who's going slower in their lane. Get out of my lane.
And do you honestly think that the digital racers, or the digital version of that analog guy, you think that they can cut it when it comes to analog racing?
Yes.
Why?
All the same skills.
Mike has attested that your ability to see the whole raceway and predict what's happening in front and behind you, as well as next to you, provides them additional skills on the track, on the analog track.
And when it comes to this, and when it comes to the strategies of running on different lanes at different times, and when it comes to the strategies of having to pass and not pass,
I think we're experiencing quadrophenia here. We have the mods and the rockers, and what we're failing to realize is that What we're failing to realize is that, folks, we all love music. We all love this hobby.
I'm not saying that we don't. I'm just saying that, as much as everybody's saying, "Oh, Marco sounds like a guy who's never tried analog racing," I'm telling you out there now that there are guys who run analog who won't be able to run digital, and there are guys out there running digital who won't be able to run analog at the same level, right?
Oh yeah, it's a completely different concept. I don't think they can do it. And but yeah, again, let's come back a little.
Well,
That's
I have
incredible.
a,
That's absolutely incredible.
That falls into the original digital trope of if you're running digital, then you just aren't a good.
No. I'm sorry, Greg. I didn't make myself clear. I don't believe that both sides are on the same level. They're gonna have to relearn a lot of things. If an analog comes to the digital, and if the digital comes to the analog, I don't think nobody has a higher ground here. I don't think a digital has more skills to run an analog because the guy on analog has been doing maybe for more time and he knows how to set up the car better. I don't know. It's different.
You literally just proved what I said.
No, yeah, I see that you're saying that they have the same level of preparation and everything, but you're trying to fight something that has been around for 10, 15 years for something that has been around since the 60s, and the guys are coming with the same tools. So I really don't believe that if you have like a pro digital racer, one of the guys who won Disca will come to an event like the Nationals and he'll be up to speed right away. He has a lot of stuff to learn. And at the same time, if me or Dennis or Jim comes to Disca, we're gonna need some time to get up to speed. But I don't think nobody has an advantage just because the guy needs to change lanes. At the same time, maybe the analog racers know how to brake better. I don't know. But the thing is, what I want to take out of this conversation is now it's set on my calendar. 1 week after the Nationals, we're gonna have a polycar track on the top of the wooden track. That's something that I've been talking to Maurice for a long time. And
1 week after the Nationals is when?
The second week of August.
Second weekend of August. Okay, Nationals is always first weekend of August.
Yes,
we
moved this year because of Car Week, but we can do in the second one.
All right, you better hope my normal yearly thing doesn't coincide again.
And we're gonna put this track together. We're gonna be putting this track together on Tuesday. Everybody was
on my calendar right now.
Good. It's a promise. I'm gonna have it. I hope Maurice is watching it because I need the track.
What if people get to practice on electric dreams? They don't have. You have to have a digital.
August.
We're gonna have it. We're gonna have it figured out.
So
just
the first weekend of August 2025 is the second. Are you gonna start? Yeah. Okay,
most of the top digital racers are actually analog racers at their club, and they're also the top racers at their club in analog format.
I was trying to keep that a secret so that
how many of those clubs
yeah.
wood tracks?
Right.
There goes more assumptions.
I'm just saying, you're saying most of the digital races are analog races at their clubs. I'll bet you most of those clubs are on plastic tracks too.
No.
There goes those assumptions.
Not Underwood.
Exactly. There's a lot of them. I count them all among my friends, and I race with them in digital. I don't race with them in analog because I don't come from the same place that they do. But when we meet up and we discuss, we look through one another's pit boxes. I get a good look at the analog cars and the way they build them, and they know how to do it. They're doing it very similarly to the guys that I see in the States.
And it's the same way in full-size racing. And here's photographic proof. See? Photographic proof.
I'm not seeing any lane changers.
Yeah, really. Marco, I have experience a little bit because I poached two of the racers from a analog club, and both of them have said that they've seen their driving improve in the analog as a result of doing digital because they have to be more adaptable to things that happen. So, it's an interesting aspect of it. And, really, if you devote a little bit of time to it, it's an alternative. And for me, it's more fun, but I race analog too.
It's more real. It's more real racing.
Yeah, no, I got you guys. I know what it represents. I know that the technology is there. I know that it can be more appealing to a younger generation. I know that you have many more options that look more like the real racing. I got it. I understand. But in my position, it's very hard to get people around it because car gets complicated.
It is different.
Yeah, I'll never argue as on the other side of that one. I stipulate to that.
And if you think that's a challenge, just ask Courtney. Wait.
That's going to end the live session. Nobody can hear anybody else talking right now. I'm going to end the stream, and then we'll keep talking about other things. Wait till YouTube says it's over. Now it's over. Now you can talk about whatever you want.
Okay, who's ready to fight?